Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome back to another Real Madrid review. Real Madrid won, Juventus nil. Real Madrid are through to the quarter-finals. I think that the scoreline doesn't really do justice to Real Madrid. I think for people who don't have time to watch the game or haven't watched the game, they would have expected or assumed that the game was probably a lot more closer than the scorelines or than people expected. But yeah, I'm not gonna really say that Real Madrid deserve to win 10-0 or whatever stupid things like that, right? But I suppose I sort of expected this sort of dominance. We know Juventus aren't the same Juventus from a few seasons ago, even. But if you if you see how Man City played them, and by the way, Manchester City lost to Al Hilal. I mean, fair play to Al Hilal. Everyone was making fun of Real Madrid when we drew them. Okay, and Al Hilal, I think they are a very serious team. By the way, I think they are. They could be a team that makes it all the way. They could well be. But enough of that. I really believe that Man City put five past them, and I don't really think Man City that side are as strong as people make out. I mean, they did lose to Al Hilal, but if Man City can put five past them, I genuinely believe Real Madrid could have put like three or four. We didn't. We probably should have, but ultimately, will we just take this and move on? Absolutely. Delighted with the win. Ultimately, we've said this before, right? What I want to see is the performance. Is the what is going on in terms of how the players play. And yes, we should be more clinical. Yes, we should have finished our chances. But look, I don't blame the players. It's Di Gregorio who was bailing Juventus out time and time and time and time again. He put in a shift like prime Neuer, by the way. Absolutely crazy. But yeah, I mean, what I liked from this team was the performance, was how we played. And we have seen, I think we have seen this team sort of settle in now a little bit. We're settling in, we're doing well, and that is what I like to see. I have seen improvements throughout this competition across the four games that we have played. And look, this was, apart from Al Hilal, our most narrow margin game. But this was against probably the top European side, right? Um, and it really could have been 3-4-5. Really could have been. So again, I don't think Juventus are a PSG, are even a Man City, obviously. But steps need to be taken. You gotta beat what's in front of you. And I believe that we played very well. We deserve to win by a bigger margin than one goal, but we will absolutely just take it. The mood is very good, and everyone knows that this team has seen a big improvement from last season. And I say last season, technically it's still part of last season, but anyways, there has been a drastic improvement. And honestly, again, I look at the starting 11 and I don't see anyone in the starting 11 that I thought was poor. Again, I genuinely don't see anyone in the starting 11 that I thought, wow, why was he on the pitch? And how many times in the past, especially last season, did we used to just look at the player ratings and go, okay, there's one or two players that were incredible, there were maybe a couple who were decent, and probably the rest were poor. That happened so many times. And I know, again, it's only the start, it's only the Club World Cup, it's only the beginning. There isn't a lot to read into this right now. But it is good signs, it's positive signs. And that is what we want to see. These players have taken time with the manager, 3 weeks now or so, They've adapted, not 100%, but quite well so far. And things will only go better than this. I keep saying the same thing, and I will say it again. Xabi Alonso did say this, right? He did say this. And I will say this again, because I want to reiterate this point. Real Madrid will end off this competition better than how we started it. That point, we need to make sure that we remember that, because that was something that a lot of people were a lot of people were doubting that. They were not believing in that, and when we started the competition, we looked a little bit fatigued. Things weren't going against Al Hilal, but now we have seen gradual progress in the performances, and it's not 100% yet. I'm not gonna say it's 100%. I think there are improvements. I think there still are weaknesses in this team that PSG, a Man City, even a Bayern Munich, maybe even a Chelsea can exploit. But again, progression, that is key. Progression. First of all, I wanted to sort of talk about Juventus a little bit now. Just a little bit. Obviously we know. I'm not too in depth about their situation. I'm not a Juventus fan, right? But we know that this team isn't as good as it was even 3 years ago, 5 years ago, and let's not even get back to the 2015 days, right? But even a couple of seasons ago, their team was so much better, and they were at least competing for the top 4 maybe in the Serie A and those days, right? And nowadays they're probably still competing in the top 4, but overall, I think in Europe they aren't doing as well against European oppositions. And look, it's a bit unfortunate for them that they stumbled across Real Madrid, and that Man City in their group as well. So a little bit disappointing for them, I suppose, and harsh for them. But I mean, I look at the team, and look, Kolo Muani missed an absolute, I'm not gonna say sitter, but a very good chance. I thought Udis was their best player easily. Conceição is a very good player, but I'm not sure if he's even gonna stay. They've got a bunch of good players. Their midfield, I like Thuram and Locatelli. That Lloyd Kelly deal was crazy, I believe. That was the deal that Huijsen was sort of involved, wasn't he? Because he obviously left Juve to go to Bournemouth, and then wasn't Kelly at Bournemouth or something, and then he went to Newcastle. I don't know what the whole situation was, but I think Juventus spent quite a big amount for him. Kalulu, decent players, and I mean their bench is stronger than their starting 11. I have no idea why. I mean, Gatti, Koop Miners is a good midfielder. Nico Gonzalez came on. I think made a little bit of an impact, not too much. McKennie, Filip Kostic, Bremer. Obviously, I think we were coming into this, and was he gonna be fit enough? Ultimately, he wasn't. Vlahovic was on the bench. I have no idea why. Is there like an argument with the manager? Was he not fit? Was he sort of injured still? I don't know. Weah is on the bench as well. I mean, their bench is actually pretty much stronger than their starting 11. Pretty much. But yeah, Juventus, I think that for most teams, I would say that they will be happy to leave now, because ultimately you don't have a risk of injuries, which is the most important, and your players get enough / more rest. And ultimately for Real Madrid, it might eventually come back to Hornets, touch wood, but we have a higher risk now of that happening, right? We do. But do we get knocked out of this competition because we don't want that? Absolutely not. We win it. We go to win it, right? But for Juventus, I'm not saying they're not here to win it, but I just don't think they've quite got enough to compete with a Real Madrid, a PSG, even a Bayern Munich or a Chelsea. So yeah, probably the best for them to leave at this stage rather than go deep and then eventually still, lose and get knocked out, right? But yeah, they were okay. They created a couple of chances that I thought was pretty dangerous. And Didi Gregorio was probably their best player. I say probably, he was their best player actually. Now that I think about it, him and Udis actually. Now that I think about it, I said Udis earlier because I was only thinking about the attacking side of the game, but Didi Gregorio was easily the best player on the pitch. They are man of the match. But yeah, fair play to them. But moving back to Real Madrid. Before we talk about the players, the first goal and the only goal, Gonzalo Garcia, bullet header, what a header that is, and Trent, I mean, what a cross that is. He gets allowed too much time and space, in my opinion. I think if you're the defender on the left hand side for Juventus, you have to be closing Trent down. You allow that cross to come in. It's a perfect cross in a perfect area and a perfect height and weight, and it's a perfect header from Gonzalo Garcia. Didi Gregorio gets a touch on it, but not enough to save it. But yeah, that was the only goal of the match. Yeah, some highlights. Kolo Muani had a shot early on, tried to chip the keeper. Too much power on it, went over the bar onto the roof of the net. Kenan Nudis, I think, had a curling effort. Go just wide as well. That was early on, and realistically, that was about it for Juve. They had, I think, another shot towards the end, in the second half that I thought was decent, but we'll get on to that. Bellingham had a shot save. I think it was Valverde who was on the right hand side at the edge of the box, pulls it back for Bellingham. And yeah, good save, Didi Gregorio. And then, yeah, I mean, I think, if I'm not wrong, Huijsen had a volley save by Didi Gregorio as well. That was before the goal. And then obviously Gonzalo Garcia scored. Second half, Nico Gonzalez came on for Juve, had a shot on his left foot, went just wide off the post. Courtois had to cover, really, and he probably would have saved it anyways because it's Thibaut Courtois, right? And I think Fede Valverde had a bicycle kick saved by Didi Gregorio. That was a kind of crazy one, pulling that out of nowhere, you know. And he also had a long range effort saved as well. You know, that was one of, you know, the typical Fede Valverde goals that we know of, and didn't score that, but obviously we've seen him score more normal goals lately. And I think towards the end, Tchouaméni had a shot from distance, saved by Didi Gregorio. Not the strongest shot, quite a weak shot, but still enough to test the keeper. And yeah, Mbappe made his debut under Xabi Alonso and his return. Modric came on and Dani Ceballos came on towards the end for a few minutes, just to seal things up. Militao Carvajal, obviously both still getting back into it, probably not quite there yet. And then you look down, okay, Lunin is a keeper, you're not going to change a keeper. Brahim Diaz is a squad player, you know, if he comes on, right? Lucas Vazquez, he's going to leave anyways, but, you know, we probably didn't want to take Trent out. And then you see Rodrigo there. And he is the talking point later on. I want to leave a little bit of a section for Rodrigo later on. So we'll be back on that. But just before I do that, actually, I want to talk about the players overall, the players who were involved. Courtois, again, not a lot to do. He came out for that Kolo Muani one-on-one, which sort of forced Kolo Muani to make a decision right there and then, and that was quite good from Courtois, because I would have rather, you know, that chip rather than a 1v1 shot, really. But, you know, forced the attacker to make a quick decision. And then overall, not a lot to do for Thibaut Courtois, really, to be honest. I mean, 6 shots, 2 on target. Yeah, he made a couple of saves, but overall, not a lot to do. But he was still very good, of course. Like I said, Rudiger, Tchouaméni, Huijsen. Again, it does seem like it is this experiment of a back three, which I think worked well. You know, I really, really like this back three. And if we are going to go forward, I would like to see this as the back three for the long term. which means that the likes of Militao and unsurprisingly Alaba will not get anywhere near this team, and Alaba is still injured, and in fact he got another injury, didn't he? And he'll be out for another month and a half, I think. Yeah, and then Trent and Fran Garcia, again, they were just doing very well on the wings, being involved. Again, that does mean that because there is 3 defenders behind them instead of 2, it's less responsibilities. Trent got the assist, his first assist for Real Madrid, I believe. Wait, did he actually? No, it's not his first. He did get one against Salzburg, didn't he? But again, a proper, clear assist, because again, Salzburg, it wasn't that clear of an assist. It wasn't that pretty of an assist, but beautiful cross and a beautiful header. The midfield, again, it was Bellingham, it was Fede Valverde, it was Arda Güler as expected, and again, they did their job really, really well. Bellingham got a yellow card, but that also, speaking of that, right, he won't be able to play against his brother, unfortunately, who did get his second yellow card of this competition, I believe. But Jude will be eligible to play. His brother won't be for Dortmund. Fede Valverde was everywhere. He was getting involved. Many shots. That bicycle kick. The long range shots. He was just getting involved. And honestly, he is the man of the match. He was given the man of the match. I would make a case for him. Personally, I think for me, it's probably between him and Gonzalo Garcia, simply because of the goal. I thought Arda Güler was incredible. And Gonzalo Garcia has got the goal. Third goal of this competition now. And yeah, I thought Vinny Jr. had a good game as well. And then the rest, Mbappe wasn't too heavily involved. Towards the end, there was a play where he put it back, and then I think it was Arda Güler with the shot, if I'm not wrong, that was saved again by Didi Gregorio actually. And yeah, Modric and Ceballos, not really a lot going on for them, but obviously they weren't really expected to come on to do much. It was just to settle the game down. But yeah, lastly, Rodrigo. Yeah, just a quick one on Rodrigo. Really not involved again. I think he's played 23 minutes for Xabi Alonso in the Club World Cup. I don't know if that's true. Wait, is it 23 minutes in the last 3 games? Because didn't he start against Al Hilal? Wait, that can't be true, right? Yeah, he did start against Al Hilal. That's not true. He did start against Al Hilal. He got taken off, but yeah, I think it's 23 minutes in the last 3 games or something. If I'm not mistaken, yeah, he played 65 minutes against Al Hilal, got subbed off, and then I don't know how many minutes he played against Pachuca and Salzburg. So, did he come on against either of those teams? He must have, right? He didn't come on against Pachuca. He did come against Salzburg, right? If I'm not mistaken. From what I remember, but I can't say for sure. He did come on against Salzburg. Wait, how many minutes did he actually play against Salzburg? Okay, 23 minutes. So, yeah, I think, 23 minutes in the last 3 games. Sorry, my bad. That doesn't include the Al Hilal game. So, yeah, 23 minutes, last 3 games. Yeah, that paints the story for Rodrigo. I don't know if this is a club decision or it's a Xabi Alonso decision, but it does seem fitting when you consider the fact that there have been a lot of rumors of him leaving, and then the manager starts Arda Güler, starts Gonzalo Garcia ahead of Rodrigo. Hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel on already, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.